Welcome to Healing Generations, a podcast creating a dialogue uplifting the importance of healing, strengthening, and supporting our communities, and that addresses the disparities and inequities in communities of color. Healing Generations is brought to you by the Healing Generations Institute, a collaborative initiative of the National Compadres Network and the Brotherhood of Yelders. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on our new releases.
Buenas, this is Cisco Gallardo with the Healing Generations podcast, Yelder edition, brought to you by the National Compadres Network and the Brotherhood of Yelders. I want to say what's up, my gente. Glad to be back. We got a really good episode. I just want to thank all our listeners, those that follow us, that subscribe to our podcast and helping us get out the word. I want to remind you, if you have something to share, you could always reach out to us at hgp@compadresnetwork.org. Anyway, so we're about to get started. I want you to, in your own mind, if you could just take a moment to relax if you can, if you're not driving or anything. I want you to close your eyes, and we're going to ask permission from our ancestors like the way we always do. We want to make sure that we do things in a good way and take a little bit of time to remember our elders and our ancestors and our people, especially during these tough times. So in your mind, I want you to close your eyes and face that east direction. I want you to think about all the grandfathers in your life. Your grandpa. I want you to think about your dad. Even if you never met them, I want you to think about them, what they've been through, what they lived through. I want you to think about your brothers, your tios, your hood tios. I want you to think about your nephews, maybe your sons, your friends, your compadres. I want you to think about even the homies that you grew up with. I want you to think about all the men in your life, all the good times, all the bad times, all the blessings that they bring and all the cargas that they bring too, In a good way, we want to remember them and bring their voices into this conversation. And then we turn left and we face that west direction. And as we're facing west, we think of all our LGBTQ relatives, those that struggle, in today's age, they're under attack, and we want to lift them up, for the blessings that they are, the things that they go through. We want good things for them, and we want to remember them in a good way. And, we want to remember those that are still struggling in a good way, As we face this west direction, we want to think about all the women in our lives, our grandmothers, our mothers, our tias, our hood tias, our sisters, our nieces, our sister-in-laws. We want to think about all the women, our daughters and nieces, all the women, all the blessings that they bring, all the nurturing ways that they bring, even their struggles. We want to remember them in that way. We want to remember all the blessings too, the things that they've been through, the things that they bring, the idea to pay attention to detail, to take care of things in a nurturing way. We want to remember them that way. And as we turn left again to that north direction, we think of all our ancestors, those that lived before us, those that struggled for us, did things so that we would have what we have today. Even though things ain't perfect, it's still progress. We want to remember our ancestors in that way, Ask for their wisdom, their blessings. And then also we want to remember our elders. Maybe you have grandparents, maybe you have parents, I want you to call them and talk to them. Listen to their stories one more time, maybe 2 more times, maybe even 3 more times. We got to pay attention to our elders, the wisdom that they have. They always surprise us with their knowledge and understanding, even of the modern world. We want to include our elders in our everyday, So I encourage you, if you see an elder and they smile at you, talk to them. Say good morning, say good afternoon, Start a conversation, so they don't feel as lonely. We want to think about them. And then we turn to our left again, and we face that south direction. From the oldest all the way down to the youngest, we want to think about the newborns, the toddlers, the elementary school kids, the middle school kids, the high school kids, all the way into college and beyond. We want to think of the hope that they represent. You know, the youth are our future, but they are also looking back at us to see what we did on their behalf, you know. So we want to remember them in a good way. And then I want you to lift your hands up, you know, and think of that sun, Tonantiu, the light it brings, the hope it brings every day, every morning that sun rises. And it reminds us how precious life is. The time goes on. We want to honor that sun, you know, get a chance to go outside and absorb the rays, you know, and remind us of that internal hope that the fire represents. And then we want to touch the earth and think about Tonantzin. All of her manifestations of Tonantzin, Coahuicle, all the ones, you know, that bless us, you know, Tonantzin in that way. We want to think of the streams, you know. We want to think of the farmlands. You know, our people working the soil. It's always a part of us. It's important to us. That's what feeds us. We have this symbiotic relationship with the earth. We want to recognize that in a good way. And then in the center, we want to think about the creator. I'm not telling you what to believe. Whatever you call the creator in your mind, I just want you to think of the miracle of life. How lucky we are to be alive, even in tough times, that we still have that life. And what a miracle that is. And let's celebrate that every day. You know, be in gratitude. Live every day as if it was our last in that way. So with that, relatives, I'm going to ask you to take a deep breath in. Breathe that out. One more time. All right, relatives, thank you for that little bit of time. You know, it doesn't take a lot to live in gratitude. It doesn't take a lot to pay attention to our surroundings, you know, and be grateful for them. So this podcast, we have a special edition. We actually met with Christina from Healing Urban Barrios a while back. It was a few episodes back. And, you know, she has a beautiful story about how she created this organization. And today we have one of her staff members. Her name is Vanessa. I'm going to invite her in. So Vanessa, can you please share a little bit about yourself, your family, your background, and your journey up to this point?
Good morning to everyone that is out there listening. My name is Vanessa, last name Cerda. I am originally from Orange County, Santana. My family is first generation. My mom is Elizabeth Roque. My dad is Jesus Roque. My mom is from Zacatecas, and my dad is from Guadalajara. And what brought me here to this journey that I'm in now is wanting to know more about who I am and where I come from. Brought me here and wanting to understand how can I be a positive outlook for everybody out here that is going through something.
So, Vanessa, what does healing mean to you when you hear the word healing?
Healing to me means healing my family, my generations, healing the ones that are going to come before me, after me. It takes one step of faith for us to heal in order for it to heal the rest.
So what lessons have you learned from your culture, your family, your life experiences that helped you in your healing journey and development?
Within my own culture, we're very, don't express much. It showed me that there was no healing. You know, mother bottles in all her frustration, all her anger, all her unmet goals, feelings, never been asked. So when it was passed down to me, I found all that love and nurture out in the streets instead of home. So I kind of took it upon like that there's more healing out there. In order for me to heal my own mother's wounds, I had to heal mine in order for us to be healing together. And that's the way I take it as.
So what was that first step for you? Were you, in a bad position and you came across somebody? Like what was that first step that you took? Because there's a lot of people out there who are in very similar situations. Or, a lot of our families, the way we survive trauma is we just don't talk about it. We bottle it up, right? And we might deal with it by drinking or by doing other things that, harm us, but feel good at the time. So what was that first thing that really made you think, oh, I need to heal?
So I think for me, it was more when I was younger. My parents used to work all the time, so I never had my parents there with me. They were absent in a way of like not asking me how I'm feeling or how I'm doing, but they were there financially. And then I started getting involved with like gangs and stuff. So I ended up finding comfort in those places. But along those ways, I met family members like mothers and sisters that I seen that they were like very caring, very like I don't have this at home. Like, why is that? So I don't know. I guess somebody like started talking to me and I just started getting curious and wanting to learn more and more and more.
Well, how old were you and what kind of things were you going through growing up that made you yearn for something better, for something more? Because a lot of people find themselves in tough situations. Some people, it takes them something traumatic, right? To say, oh, kind of wakes you up in a way. What was that wake-up call for you?
My wake-up call was I was heavily involved in drugs. I used to do drugs. I was like 14, 15. I was heavily on meth. And I disappeared from like my house. Didn't think my parents would like care because they never asked me or anything. So one day I just came back home and I remember I had some pants that my mom had bought me brand new. And when I came back, those pants didn't fit me. And I just remember her breaking down and crying and asking me like, what is it going to take for you to like change, And I think it was that I saw her like care for me in that way of like that motherly love is what I guess healed me in a way. And I made the decision like, okay, I need help. Like,
but did you feel before that you weren't loved? Like what was that first thing that even brought you to drugs? I mean, I remember being young and getting high, even though I knew they were bad. I was chasing that kind of just a feeling of being happy and not caring. I mean, what was it for you?
For me, it's like being wanted and being seen, I believe, based on since I was by myself all the time, didn't really have nobody to conversate. And I had, I guess, so much to say and so much to speak in these places when you find yourself among other people that have these type of addictions. I mean, they're there to listen as well. They were good listeners, So I had a space where I could express myself with no judgment, I believe.
And so when you came back home, you're going back to your family's house and your mom kind of, breaks down. What was that first step? Did you go to a program? What did you do?
She sent me to Zacatecas. She booked a flight that same day where I said, okay, yes. Like she booked a flight for me to fly out to Zacatecas. At that time, I didn't really like know how serious it was. But now that I'm an adult and it's like, who books a flight, right? It's not like it's cheap. And then she was working. She was a workaholic and she pretty much didn't care about her job that she made that decision. Like, I'm going to go take her. So she left me in Zacatecas, which that was another hurdle that I had to go through because there was a lot of family division. So my oldest brother, that he lives in Alaska, in Anchorage, reached out to me. I was only there in Zacatecas for like 2 weeks. And my brother was like, I love you, little sister, like come live with me. And again, another flight, and a whole different scenery. Kind of like, I think it was more of the nature like vision, like something that I've never been out of.
So you went from Zacatecas to Anchorage, Alaska.
Correct.
Wow, that's a change.
Yes.
So you got to Anchorage. What happened there?
So when I was in Anchorage, I was scared because at that time, Alaska was the only place that was recorded to have a magnitude earthquake that was like 7 point something at that time. So there was no record broken like now that there is. But so I always had that in mind. Like, and I'm not gonna lie, like I was a week in there, there was an earthquake.
Oh man!
And I got shook. I got shook, and I think it was the love of my brother, like that made me like, okay, like that's somebody that I bonded with, like because he used to take care of me when I was a little girl, but then he made the decision of like moving to Anchorage, so he kind of like abandoned me. So now that I was there with him, it was like okay, like, and I kind of exit the drug addiction there, like.
And how long were you there for?
I was there for a whole year. I attended junior high there. And I was able to finish junior high there. And then I came back because my mom wanted to celebrate mi quinceañera, which she went ahead and did that.
Wow, you even had a quinceañera and everything?
Yeah.
So when you got back, how did you start navigating where you're not, you know, did you were tempted to go back to your old ways? Like, what kept you doing good?
What kept me doing good? I mean, I never kind of stopped talking to people. You know, I still kind of kept in contact with them, the music and everything, but I just knew better. I knew not to like fall on that route, you know. And then I would see like friends that I would be getting high with, like be on the street, being like in the hotels, like, you know, and I was like, damn, if I wouldn't have left, that would have been me. So every time I see somebody in a bike or like homeless and asking for money and then like just look at them, I always say to myself, if I wouldn't have taken that, that would have been me.
So did you come back and you went straight to high school? What did you do in your...
I did. I went back to high school my freshman year, but I mean, I still wasn't healed, right? I still had issues. So I guess it's now that I could claim them, now that I'm like dad issues, right? So boys were like a little bit of like my distraction, you could say. And so that's where I ended up. I mean, I liked school to go because I was like all about fashion.
Yeah.
I guess, you know, so I would just go to show up and dress up but I would still give advice to people, you know. People would come to me and be like, hey, you know, I'm like a good listener, a good friend, you know, you could say. So I built really good, strong relationships within high school. But I did not graduate high school because I checked out. Then I started working and I started like just making money. Like I guess what my parents passed down to me, right? Learning how to be alcoholics and that way of like working, you know, workaholic. So that's what I started doing. And
so tell me what you're doing now and, you know, how did you get from there to what you're doing today?
So I got introduced to this work that I'm doing through an organization that is in Orange County through Project Kinship, like the vision of like I'm wanting to help those that are formerly incarcerated and our system impacted, who better a person that has been through the system as well, and also how to help and that there's actually opportunities for folks like us to give back to the community. I'm also an activist. I'm also part of Chicanos Unidos. We're based off in Orange County. So we're civil rights movements. Obviously, when the cops and all that happens, you know, we're there, frontline, helping the community with so much that due to that, I was kind of, Orange County is very, very conservative. I wasn't able to continue with Project Kinship due to me being an activist. So they had to let me go. And I always was like, damn, like I want to do this work. And then one day I seen an ad on Instagram that they were hiring at Healing Urban Barrios. And me being me, I went and researched like how far is the drive, you know? And it said it was like 35 miles. And I was like, oh, great. And it's in LA. So I was like, traffic hour. Okay. I think I got it. So I applied. I sent Christina, my boss, my resume, my certification and everything. And she was like, are you sure you want to do this job? Like, because, I didn't mention, guys, I live in Santa Ana to this day. So I commute every single day in that 5 traffic, going and coming.
How long does it take you every day?
On a bad day, an hour and 25, 30 minutes, I guess. It just depends who crashes, who does what. And on a good day, sometimes I get home like in 35 minutes.
That must be a very good day.
That is a really good day. That's not when the Dodgers are playing. Yeah. Let me clarify that. Or when other concerts are around. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, I mean, for those that don't know, in the Southern California area, traffic is legendary over here. That's for sure. Something that takes even 5 miles could take you a long time. So what do you do during your drive? Do you contemplate your day? Do you listen to audiobooks? What do you do?
So that's my time. That's my self time. I think about everything. I listen to music. I listen to motivational speakers. I listen to like just native music. I tend to go on a train in my head, being like, I guess, purifying my spirit, and starting fresh, and leaving everything in the road and spreading it out.
That's good. I mean, you have that outlet, even though it's a long drive. I mean, at least you're utilizing it in a good way. So tell me about what you do there at Healing Urban Barrios. What do you do? What kind of work do you do? And what do you like about it?
There at Healing Urban Barrios, I'm a success coach. So pretty much we do case management with those that have been formerly incarcerated or system impacted. Get to know them. We help them, give them one-on-one sessions, met their needs, such as if they need an ID, if they need clothing, because some of these individuals come out of prison without nothing. We provide supportive services to them. If they need anger management, substance abuse, or parenting classes, we also provide that at free, at no cost. We do a variety of work with them, but the thing that I like the most is like getting to know them, like knowing that they're seen and then they're heard, and that they're worthy of, being humans and just being seen, especially when these folks come out of prison. Like, they come programmed, they come with a schedule, they come differently. And what's easy for us to go and do a grocery shopping, it's hard for them because they have anxiety of being in a store full of people. It creates stress, anxiety. And for us, sometimes we don't take that in consideration, that they come from a place where like they're so used to like being in solitary that triggers them, such as going to the DMV. Even for us, going to the DMV is like, oh, great. Like, I got to go there,
Stressful,
It's stressful. Yeah. Now imagine somebody that came out from serving a double sentence out here into society. It's really hard. And that's the best part. That's rewarding because I know that I helped someone get a step closer to where they need to go.
What's the biggest frustration in doing what you're doing?
The biggest frustration for me, that I can't help everybody. There's going to be that one that's going to slip. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those where like, but you still go above and beyond and they don't see it. But I know that it doesn't matter if you feel it, that they don't see it, they take it with them. So when they're in their journey, they're going to be like, damn, that person went above and beyond for me, when I didn't deserve it, or, and it's just, it changes them. It's a seed, that was planted, and it's going to eventually grow someday and see that change.
Yeah, it takes a while, right? Some people are ready for the medicine and some people are not. I really like what you said about the first thing. We talk about that when we talk about the La Cultura Cura framework. We talk about that first step, right? Acknowledgement. Do I feel valued? Do people care about me? Do I feel wanted? Everybody wants that, and then that second phase of, are you understood? Do people get you, what you're doing, what you're trying to do? It's very difficult for some people, right? They don't know where they fit in the world, So where do you think you fit right now in your life? Like, where do you want to grow?
No, man. I wasn't ready for this question because I'm too busy saving the world. Not just kidding. Me, I definitely want to grow. I think right now in this journey that I'm doing, like it's growth, but like healing my family, healing my children. Like that's where I think right now I'm at, like humbly, within my familia, within my smaller circle. And then from there, like then go out there and try to see like where I fit in or wherever this journey takes me, but I'm there.
Tell us about your children. How old are they?
So I have 7 children. I have a 17-year-old. He's going to turn 18 in October.
Wow.
His name is Jaden Rocha. And then I have a daughter. Her name is Jaitlyn Verdin. She's about to turn 15. And I am stressing out because her quinceañera is in November, which is like 2 months away. So yeah. I have that going on. And then I have a 13-year-old. Her name is Jaylee Verdin. And then I have a 7-year-old. His name is Jadison. Then I have a Jada Kiss, who's 5. And then I have a set of twins that it's Jadacy and Jada Cruz. And they're 3 years old.
That's a lot of J's.
Yes, the Jade. That's Jade love.
I like that. So what do they think about you, what you're doing? Do they understand the type of work you do? I know for my kids, they kind of struggled. They didn't know exactly what I did. They know I help people, but, it's kind of hard to explain sometimes.
So obviously my firstborn, he's the one that went through some like hurdles with me. So I wasn't right in the path that I'm in. So he kind of, doesn't quite understand. He just thinks I'm crazy because I always want to help people. But he understands that. And then my 2 daughters, they're just like me. They want to be out there helping people. Every November, we feed the homeless. Like we have like this group that we just did upon ourselves. And we give out food and resources in Santa Ana. So we already have like a little program as a family, like what we do. And then the little ones, they still don't understand. They're just like, oh, we're going to go give food, or like they're happy, but they still don't know just yet because they're still too small to understand. But my daughters definitely like, they like what I do. Like I said, I'm also an activist. So when we see cops like not acting properly, my daughters will be like, I won't stop. I'll be driving and they'll be like, oh, like, stop, like pull over. Like they're like the ones like, why are you not doing it? Why? I'm like, because I'm driving, it's like, go, what about? Like they're the ones wanting me to be out there in the front line. So
they want you to advocate,
yes,
right?
So
do that good work. So how's this relationship with your mom doing? Are you guys better, in a better place? You guys share a little bit more?
Yes, definitely. I think, it's not the greatest. And I know her love for me is like deeply, it's like immense, I just wish I could heal her wounds in order for her to be able to like express a little bit more. But just, little by little, like I'm getting to know her. Like I mentioned, I have twins and they were my last one. I ended up finding out that my grandma had 3 sets of twins.
Wow.
So it took for me to have twins to know a little history behind my history. And then one of my twins, his name is Jada Cruz, and my grandpa's name was Cruz, right? So that opened another like family history for me. So little, not the best, but it's there.
Well, that's good because, it's crazy enough is I'm still learning stuff about my mom. Like, you think about it when you're a kid, you don't really ask that many questions. I always ask my mom, well, where did you grow up? What kind of house did you live in? And because you just never think about that, right? What kind of things that they had to go through. So in your job, what do you want to grow with that? What do you want to do? You're still kind of relatively young in the field, helping people, doing this healing work. A lot of people think healing work is all fun, but it's hard, right? Getting people to evaluate their situation, but really to understand healing and love and what that really means. Like loving yourself means you have to have discipline. You have to have boundaries for yourself, but you also have to allow yourself to be different, because sometimes our old lives hold us back, right? Like for men anyways, there's this feeling where, oh, I can't do that, makes me soft. I don't know what it's like for a woman, but what kind of challenges do you face when you're thinking, do you feel like, oh, that's too soft, I can't do that, or you're open to it?
So to the question of like, what do I see myself wanting to do is like, my goal is to like open my own nonprofit as well, like in Orange County, right there in Santana, in my backyard, to do the same kind of thing that Healing Urban Barrios is doing, because I love the fact that like we go out in the community and like advocate for our youth. Like we're there. And that's something that is really important, I think, in my community. I see that a lot of like nonprofits don't really advocate our people on the floor. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of like what I want to do.
So back to that second part of the question I asked you was, what things do you do to allow yourself to grow? Like I explained before, as a man, sometimes my own barrier would be I couldn't do that because it would make me soft. Like even crying. For like men, crying is a big deal. You know what I mean? Like being able to let go, being emotional, being able to do something like that is difficult because we don't want people to think we're weak. But as a woman, what are some of those barriers for you, and how have you got past them?
I think for myself as a woman, like I think that I tend to not take it too personally. I tend to kind of like have that healthy boundary up, I guess, because like again, I can show weakness, right? Mm-hmm. But it's because I already have like my boundary already established. It took some time, but you know what? It hasn't been a while where I haven't cried. I think it's bottling up, but it's a way of healing. Mm-hmm. You cry, you heal. So for men, I heard you're saying that, that would show you soft, but that's you healing,
Yeah, it's hard. Today I'm a chillon. I don't even care about it, because I try to take myself there. I try to, when I'm talking or telling a story about my life or something, I go there emotionally. I don't run from it. I go there and I want to feel that pain again, because it reminds me, that pain reminds me that it's real, that I need to do something real. Like just talking about it's not enough. You need that release. You need the release. So when it comes to your job, I know you want to start your own nonprofit. You want to do something in your hometown, which is good. You know what I mean? Like I know people in Santa Ana need the help. A lot of times there's all these other places that people want to give money to or to build programs. But a lot of times communities like Santa Ana get overlooked in that way. What do you think the biggest, like if you were to start a program today, what would it be? Just advocacy? Would it be about education? Would it be for young women? What would you really focus in on?
I think it would be like the reentry. I think it has to be the reentry and the system impacted, and being there foot ground in the communities. Mm-hmm. I know it's a beautiful space to have your own building, mm-hmm. but how are we going to help these communities if we're not out in the foot ground and getting to know our communities and getting to know the neighbors that are struggling, that immigration just took their dad and they're struggling, and sometimes they don't even know where the resources are at, even though that they're there. But if you're not familiar with them, you won't be able to reach them because nobody ever taught you. I feel like it has to be like foot ground, like it has to be out in the community, like reaching them, and so educating. You have to be
out in the field, on the ground, doing the work, being where the people are.
Yes.
Right? The people can't always come to you. You got to go to where they're at, I always remind myself, sitting on the corner with the homies, drinking or wherever we were, in the alley, whatever. And we would talk about having a good future, like, oh, fool, I'm going to get a job. I'm going to do this. We always kind of hyped each other up, but nobody made the effort, and I always wanted to be that guy too. that would roll up on them, say, hey, man, you need a little help. I got you. You know, here's this. And they'll be like, well, what do you want in exchange? Nothing. I just want you to be happy, man. I'm just trying to help you out. I mean, that's a beautiful feeling, you know? So what counsel or advice would you give to others when it comes to health and healing? Think about the young Vanessa that you were, where you were impressible, you've been through a lot, you're dealing with addiction, you want to do good. What would that first step be?
I think the step is just like being open-minded, you know, just listen, you know, like I know it's hard because we block off sounds and we just see red and, you know, we think about like, oh, like my heart's broken or like my parents don't love me or whatever. We just go on that path where we don't see no left or right. But I think that everybody has somebody out there that all they have to do is just talk to them and plant that seed, and that's how it will happen. Like I said, it won't happen immediately, but it will happen. It will stick with that person, and when they come to that journey, that phase of journey where like that healing started taking place, they'll reminisce on that medicine that was given to them, and they'll be like, damn, if I only would have listened when they told me, I would have avoided that detour I took, but here I am now, and just embrace the detour you took because it made you who you are today.
Yeah, you got to remember, like, you're walking back from that, right? You could say, you know, you come across young people say, I know what's over there. You don't want what's over there. I'm trying to help you out right now where you don't have to go through that. Some people, they got to touch the stove, right? They need to feel that heat before they realize, but hopefully they don't. You know what I mean? I want to thank you for making that step yourself, you know, helping those that are formerly incarcerated, system impacted, because a lot of times people want to demonize them. And, you know, they got to realize this is a cycle. That means something you live through, you are a victim of, then you become a perpetrator of. There's this cycle that happens within our cultures, within our communities, within our families that we have to stop, you know, and it takes courage, no doubt. It takes bravery to say, you know what? I'm not going to do that. That's not how I'm going to raise my kids. That's not how I'm going to go to work. That's not how I see the world. I'm going to advocate for people that are struggling, and especially in today's world where we have immigration, we have custom agents, all these different kinds of people, you know, wearing masks, going into our communities, doing horrendous things to our kids. And then you also have people being locked up or lifetime probation, where they could never have that opportunity to change because they're punished for a bad decision that might have made. And I know the argument to that is like, what about the victims? I think having a healed society is better for everyone, including the victims, you know, because you can't lock them up forever. Growing up in the 90s, that's what they did, locked everyone up. And then there's a generation that grow up without dads, that grow up without young men in their community, and they need them, and young women too. You know what I mean? So I want to thank you for that. Well, I want to take this time, Vanessa, to, you know, remind our listeners of the ancestral teachings, you know. Maestro Jerry Theo kind of developed these over the years with many different teachings of our people, you know. I want to remind you of this ancestral teaching. The first one is that you are wanted, that you're welcome, that you're a blessing, and that you have dignity. Because a lot of people, they don't feel dignified. I think we've all been in places where feeling dignity has been robbed from you. You know, there's nothing like it, you know, being handcuffed at the store or being put on the ground, you know, it doesn't make you feel dignified. You know, that each person has a sacred purpose. And when I mean by sacred purpose, I'm not talking about an overall thing, but everybody in life has a purpose. And sometimes it might be, what's your purpose today? Not for the next 10 years, but what's your purpose today? You know, maybe it's just being a dad, or maybe it's being a mom. Maybe it's just being a good partner. You know what I mean? Or being a good friend. You know, having that respect for one another is really important. And then it also is about that you have cultural based teachers that values family and community, and teachers that will guide you. You know, a lot of times we don't trust adults in our life, or we don't trust people that are looking out for us, because automatically when you don't have that trust, you're thinking, what do they want? What do they want from me? What do they want to take from me? And I want you to just remember that those teachers help guide you, most importantly, to love. How to love. And there's all kinds of love. I'm not talking about just romantic love. I'm talking the love for life, where things surprise you and make you feel good. You know what I mean? A good song. Like, think about your favorite song. Not the one that reminds you of the one that got away, but I'm talking about that song that lifts you up. There's a lot of those, and you want to remember that you're safe and compassionate, and that you're secure, that you have a safe place to be. And to me, I hear healing urban barrios. I think of that safe place, a safe place. And that's what you want to build, Vanessa. I want to thank you again for taking that journey, not only for yourself, but for your family, for your kids. It's really important. And how could people learn about things that you're doing, about either healing urban barrios, about you personally? Is there anything that you would like to share people so they can learn more about what you're doing and more how they could get involved, wherever they live?
Yeah, so definitely, if there's the social media, Instagram, you could find us at Healing Urban Barrios on Instagram. And then if you want to get in touch with me, you could find me at JLove5. It's JADELOVE5 on Instagram. And then, you could just go ahead and follow me, and then you guys will see the journey that I go through.
All right. I really want to thank you again. I want to remind all our listeners, if you find value in our podcast, please share it, let people know. We're trying to raise up our listening just because we believe in this message, and you're a vital part of that, and again, if you want to give us any feedback, you can go to hgp@compadresnetwork.org. That's hgp@compadresnetwork.org. And, I want to thank all our listeners again. Thank all our elders, those out there that are really struggling and doing good, did a lot of good things for us. We lost an elder the other day. I want to remember him. His name is Eddie Montour. He's from Pueblo, Colorado. He was a Brown Beret. He died a few weeks back in August. And it's a heartbreak for the Chicano movement in a lot of ways. But I want to remember him. He's a veterano that I really respected, not only for his love for his people, but his integrity and his commitment to healing. I really appreciate it in that way. I want to remind everybody, you can go to nationalcompadresnetwork.org to learn more about all our programming. You can also go to the Brotherhood of Elders to learn more about what the Brotherhood of Elders are up to and what we're doing, and learn more about the initiatives of HGI, the Healing Generations Institute. I want to thank our producer here, Michelle Gonzalez, for helping us out, taking care of all the things in the background. Very important job. And to Emilio, our editor, I want to give credit to all those that help get out this episodes and really do the work. So till next time, palabra.
For more information about Healing Generations and the Healing Generations Institute, visit nationalcompadresnetwork.org and be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with our new releases.